This video is brought to you by Mack Weldon Clothing. It's clothing! As with every movie set within the wizarding world of Harry Potter, and just whenever J.K. Rowling tweets anything about this universe, Fantastic Beasts look out for all the crimes, there's Grindelwald, builds upon the world as well as including a number of references to the books and films in relation to locations, characters, magic, different creatures, and more. That's what this video is about. Here's the topics I'm going to be covering. Time codes are in the description if you want to jump around. Also, full spoilers, in particular the big reveal at the end of the movie, which I'm hoping to provide various explanations for. Alright, here we go. Okay, so this movie is mostly set in Paris, a location that hasn't been visited before in the movies. But we also briefly see New York in the beginning, which was the setting of the first Fantastic Beasts. Then we got the return of Hogwarts, with all things you'd expect in relation to Hogwarts. The Great Hall, the Great Lake, Room 3C, which is home to Defense Against the Dark Arts, and we also get the tree that beats up people. We see students practicing Quidditch in their house colours, which include, as I'm sure you're aware of, Hufflepuff, Gryffindor, Slytherin, and Birdhouse. We also see that whenever anybody arrives at Hogwarts, they're unable to apparat to within the grounds due to its powerful defenses. That's why we get people popping up on the other side of the bridge and then having to walk over. We also get the return of the British Ministry of Magic, which has showed up in previous Harry Potter films, as well as the mention of Azkaban, when Newt Scamander says, "I can't leave the country, they'll put me in Azkaban," and that place is straight up bullshit. Okay, we get old characters popping up, as well as new characters that are linked to old characters. Dumbledore, now Youngledore, as played by Jude Law, makes an appearance. Not quite the man we see in later films, but with a few characteristics that we know him for. He's considered one of the most powerful wizards that ever lived, and is only matched by that of Grindelwald. There's hints towards their past relationship that's explored more in the books, and also in J.K. Rowling's tweets, including a kerfuffle between them and Dumbledore's only brother, Aberforth. Or is he the only brother? Resulting in the accidental death of their sister. This must have been before they did the Blood Pact, which we'll get back to. But all of that, I assume, is why Dumbledore respects Neville Longbottom for standing up against his friends in the first Harry Potter, as that's what he experienced with Grindelwald.
It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to your enemies, but a great deal more to stand up to your friends.
Next up, we have Leta Lestrange, relation to that of Bellatrix Lestrange, and according to actor Zoe Kravitz, she's her great-great-aunt. We also briefly see a young Professor McGonagall. But here's the thing, Professor McGonagall was born in 1935, and this movie is set in 1927, so that doesn't make any sense. But there are those who have theorized that this young Professor McGonagall is actually the grandmother or mother of the one we saw in the Harry Potter films. There's also probably another explanation or no explanation. I mean, I don't know, and I'm actually the world's leading expert in all things Harold Potter. Nicholas Flamel shows up. His creation, the Philosopher's Stone, is also seen, that being the magical MacGuffin from the first Harry Potter book and movie. He decides to die at the end of that first story because the stone that makes you live forever is a terrible idea, especially considering it makes your bones brittle to the touch and your face looks like a shattered kneecap. We also see Dumbledore dueling with one of his students who's a McLaggen, probably Cormac McLaggen's grandfather, since his father was born in 1962. Newt Scamander's brother Theseus also rocks up for the first time. He's mentioned in passing in the first Fantastic Beasts and is considered a wizarding hero from the Great War as a result of his actions in World War I. Also, Dumbledore has another brother, maybe, but we'll talk about that towards the end. Okay, magic. There's a ton of it in this movie that's almost exclusively about magic and people saying magic things and looking for magical items. We get the return of famous trinkets, such as the Elder Wand and the Philosopher's Stone. Plus, the Deluminator is used by Dumbledore when he's trying to convince Newt to go to Paris. Polyjuice Potion is used by Newt to transform into his brother, and it also might be used by Grindelwald and Abernathy to mount that opening escape. Though it's possible that one of them might actually be a Metamorph Magnus, which basically means they can change their appearance at will, like Tonks can. We also get another look at the Mirror of Erised, the mirror that shows you the thing you desire most in the world. For Harry, it's to be with his parents again. For Ron, it's being good at literally anything.
Bloody hell. Hello, good.
And for Dumbledore, it's his relationship with Grindelwald. He actually once told Harry that when he looked in the mirror, all he saw was a pair of thick woolen socks. Maybe he's gotten over his relationship with Grindelwald at this point, or maybe it's just another lie on top of the mountain of lies that he's told Harry Potter. Portkeys are back, a mode of instant teleportation, this time in the form of a bucket. We also see Ridiculous, which turns a boggart from the most terrifying thing you can imagine into something more humorous. The Killing Curse shows up again. It's even used on a baby. Finally. I mean, again, because it was used on Harry Potter when he was a baby, except it, backfired. I'm sure you know the story. Okay, handbrake turned into a Mack Weldon ad. Mack Weldon are a quality clothing company that have sweet-looking hoodies, underwear, undershirts, t-shirts, polos, socks, sweats, which are all famously antimicrobial, which basically means you can wear them all day and they smell great and not like a pile of hot garbage. They also fit really well. They are my favorite t-shirts, they're my favorite underwear, they're my favorite socks, and also they last for ages. They're really good quality. So if you like clothing that lasts for ages and is not terrible, check them out by visiting macweldon.com and feel free to use the offer code Mr. Sunday Movies, or one word, for 20% off your purchase. All of that is linked below. Okay, so the unbreakable vow. It looks like a variation of that shows up in Fantastic Beasts. You do the crime, you do the time, in the form of Grindelwald and Dumbledore's blood pact. It appears that in their youth, they made a promise to each other that they'd never duel each other. Perhaps this did happen after the three-way duel between Aberforth, Dumbledore and Grindelwald. Perhaps it was decided after the death of Ariana that they were too powerful wizards to openly attack each other, as that could result in the death of others, or at the very least, maybe that's what Grindelwald convinced Dumbledore, maybe. Also, maybe that three-way duel wasn't what we think. Perhaps it was Grindelwald and Aberforth fighting, and Dumbledore was trying to stop it from happening. I'd imagine that we will see this play out in one of the next 3 Fantastic Beasts movies that we're getting that are going to span the 30s, all the way up to the end of World War II. So settle in. Apparently also, this blood pact manifests in a physical object that can then be destroyed. This is somewhat different than the unbreakable vow, because apparently those can't be broken at all, and to do so results in the death of those involved. That's fun. Okay, creatures. We got some returning ones like the Niffler and Twiggly Stickly. We also see the birth of a phoenix, whom appears to be Fawkes. Dumbledore's bird, who plays a prominent role in Harry Potter and the giant snake that lives under the school. Thestrals are used to pull Grindelwald's carriage. Creatures that can only be seen by those who've experienced great loss. Yeah, that seems safe. Just a series of skeletal flying horses, dragging a prison carriage, pinwheeling through the rain at night. Yeah, that's way safer than apparition, or a portkey, or flu powder, or a night bus, or a regular train, or walking, or cutting the throat of Wizard Hitler with a regular non-magical knife, because why wouldn't you do that? This is Wizard Hitler! Nagini shows up, though this time she's a woman, cursed with being a maledictus. What that entails is that you turn into an animal a lot, until eventually you just are that animal and you lose any of your human characteristics, including personality. We also see what I think were tiny Grindellows in a jar with Newt in that Hogwarts flashback. Plus we see Boggarts again, though we still don't know what a Boggart really looks like, because apparently they only take on their natural form when nobody's looking. It's weird that no wizard ever thought to put one in a cupboard with a regular muggle video camera. But you know, what do I know? New creatures we get include the Zawu, the Kelpie, and the Kappa water demon that's infamous for sneaking up on humans and strangling them to death. That's not a joke. As always, the inclusion of Wizarding World newspapers hint towards large and small events in this universe. There's mention of Ollivander the Wand Maker, a 3-headed dog, which could be the same one from the Philosopher's Stone, or at the very least, it's the same species. There's even the mention of a freed house elf like Dobby. But the ending, the revelation that Creedance is in fact Aurelius Dumbledore, the brother of Albus Dumbledore. How is this possible? Well, there are a few potential explanations. For one, he's not really the brother of Albus Dumbledore, and Grindelwald is lying to him in order to manipulate Creedance into fighting Youngledore. He might recognize his power and plan to use that to his advantage, seeing as he can't attack Dumbledore directly. Secondly, Dumbledore's father, who was imprisoned for attacking the 3 muggles that attacked his daughter, causing her to suppress her magic the same way that Creedance did, leading some to believe that she might also be an Obscurus. Anyways, off the back of that, it's possible that Dumbledore's father also fathered another child later in life. Dumbledore's mother died young, and she lived with the family until that happened, so I think we'd know if another child did come from her. Thirdly, Creedance is a Dumbledore, but he's like a cousin or some other relation. And fourthly, when Ariana was killed, perhaps her Obscurus attached itself to baby Creedance, meaning that when Grindelwald is talking with Creedance about how he's so cool and powerful and sexy, he's actually addressing the Obscurus. And that's why the Phoenix responds to him, because part of him is technically Ariana. Creedance may have just been an ordinary muggle child, or a squib like Grindelwald suspected from the previous movie, and it's the Obscurus that gives him his power. Anyways, those are all, or at the very least, some of the Easter eggs from Fantastic Beasts, and was Fantastic Beasts the best name for these films that are really about a wizard Hitler? If you got any more Easter eggs that I've missed, or theories on who Creedance is in relation to Dumbledore, I'd love to hear it, or at the very least read about it in a typed comment. Also, if you like Harry Potter videos, there's a number of recent ones on my channel that you might be interested in, including my thoughts on what I think is the best Harry Potter film. So subscribe for any and all of that. And also I have a podcast called The Weekly Planet, where this Monday we're getting stuck into this latest Fantastic Beasts film and how it does so many interesting and just wonderful things. But thanks for watching this. I genuinely appreciate it. Take care.